Hey guys, Little Gaming here, and I'm going to tell you how to beat online casinos for once. How about that? Now, the entire fundamental basis of advantage play in actual physical casinos is someone left a positive state on a machine. Like, someone like me watches 10 to 100,000 spins with little tally marks and does the math and says, okay, the free games that they give out, which increments, it's actual progress, not fake progress, it increments one every 48 spins, and the free games tend to average you about 5.8 times your bet. So when the number hits 24, that means that it is in your favor, because it will take less bets than that, including the average line pays, than it will pay out on average. And so you just wait for someone to do that and jump off a machine who doesn't know any better, or just decided to jump off, or ran out of money, or hated the machine and wants to play something else, or just whatever. So it is what it is. Most casinos don't care about it, and welcome to my channel. I tell you how to do it. But online casinos, you're the only person in the casino. That is your personal casino. You can't see anyone else's states, anyone else's machines. Everything is your own instances. So there's no way to beat them, right? Because nobody else is there to drive up an advantage state. While there's online casinos, class 3, classified as casinos, it is online gambling, they're not trying to hide anything. And then there's the sweeps and social casinos, and those are far easier to always beat. So let's talk about class 3, okay? It's online gambling. It's legal in 5 states in the US. They are casinos, they're classified as casinos, and if they refuse to cash you out or something, you could call the gaming commission and sue them. They are based in America, and they must comply by the same rules pretty much as any other casino. So if nobody's there to set a positive state on a machine, how do you do it? Well, when do you interact with other players? And you might think, oh, poker. Well, yeah, player versus player poker. Okay, cool. Except that if you're playing online poker, assume every single other person at the table is using a solver, telling them how to play perfectly. Because they are. They claim they can detect that. Every site says they stop it, and every site has a controversy where people were caught doing it. So, yeah, don't count on it. But you might think, oh, card counting in blackjack. Yep. No, they're either using optical recognition or RFID chips or both. They know what every single card is, and they're card counting too, but they're doing it better than you. So when they detect a positive state and your bet goes up, they're going to catch you in about 10 minutes. Also, they use continuous shufflers. Also, they use giant shoes. It's a whole thing. You're not going to card count. People have tried. If they were susceptible to that, every online casino would not have blackjack. Trust me. It wouldn't even be a person playing it. Keep in mind, if it's online, you can write a bot to automate it and run it for some amount of hours per day that doesn't look suspicious. There's AI card recognition. There's a little something called Ghost Mouse. And yeah, you could just have the computer play for you and just sit there and make money without you even having to be there. So keep that in mind for the context in all these. So when do you interact with other players, though? Because that might be the key. And you might think, well, you're not playing versus the other players, so how do you get their money? You can't touch their money. Information sharing. Now here's where it gets weird, because Ultimate Texas Hold'em and Mississippi Stud were the 2 games that I know that information sharing can give you a massive advantage. In both games, you start with 2 cards. With Mississippi Stud, you draw to 5, and it's basically video poker. But on a table, the higher you get, the better. And when you get a pair of 6s or better, you max out the bet because you can't lose, because it pushes 6 to 10s. So dealer has 3 community cards, cool. You're just playing 5-card poker. That's why it's called stud. With UTH, you probably know how to play Texas Hold'em. You get 2 cards, 5 community cards. You see 3, then 2. You bet, and it's a whole thing. Look it up. It's great. In both games, if you have King 2, that is not a good hand, but it's playable. It is so close to 50% win odds, but the 2 is useless. I mean, in Mississippi Stud, it's almost by definition useless. You would need 2 pair or trips with the 2s for it to mean anything. But to win the jacks or better 1-to-1 without a push, you need jacks or better. So the king is the only card you care about. In Texas Hold'em, yeah, I mean, a pair of 2s is pretty much worthless. You could technically win with it, but it's not really considered to be a pair because all other pairs beat it. So it might as well not be. And then it ties with another pair if you lose the kicker, but the other 2 deuces are probably not going to come out, literally using the word probably as in probability. So the only card you care about is the king, and if you're only chasing 1 card instead of 8-7 suited, where you could pair up either one or get a straight or get a flush or whatever, adjacent cards are called connectors for a reason, because they can connect and become other things. So that's kind of wide open, because you pull a 5, okay, you might have it. What if a 6 shows up? What if another spade shows up if they're spades? That's complex, okay? But if all you're chasing, the only value in your hand is a king, you are going to want to know if somebody else at the table has one. In Mississippi, if you've got King 2 offsuit and somebody next to you has a king, you fold it, and you don't say anything, because your odds just drop negative. Never see the first one, too, in that case. 1/3 of the remaining kings from the deck are gone. Your odds just went down the toilet. In Ultimate Texas Hold'em, King 5 is what I probably should have said. You would actually quadruple that bet. So if you got $10 down, you're throwing 40 on that because it's like a 51% chance of winning. And if it's positive RTP, put every penny you have on it. Why would you not? It's still basically a coin flip, but it's a coin flip that's very slightly in your favor. So that's the whole fundamental basis of Ultimate Texas Hold'em is when it's slightly in your favor, like you get dealt 2 sevens, well, your odds of winning are like, what, 60, 70%? I don't even know. I just know it's in the positive category, 4x it. You still might lose, but you're so far ahead that why not? Because in the long run, you're going to win. But King 5, that is so close that if anybody else had another King, or honestly, if anybody else had another 5, I would see the next 3, which is called the flop, and then make a decision based on that. So that'll save you 2 times your bet right there. It'll help you make an educated decision, especially if there's 1 5 to your right and 1 king to your left. Well, now you're in trouble. So is information sharing enough to put it into a positive RTP, return to player? I thought the answer would be really simple. So some guy on a website, I don't know if he wants to be named, but he says he simulated a 6-player collusion model and said that the player edge went to 2.5%. So you would beat the casino by a little bit better odds than card counting and blackjack. If you all knew consistently every other person's cards and then made decisions based on that, then you could push it to 2.5% profit. So you could just bet huge and let the law of averages over a couple hours ride you off into victory. Now, Michael Shackelford from Wizard of Odds publicly simulated knowledge of 10 dead cards, as in they can't be in the deck because the other 5 players have them. I really don't know why he didn't do 12 cards, unless that was a misstatement, in that it's implied you know your own cards and then you know the other 5 players' cards, but okay. The house edge dropped, but it went from 2.19% with no information while playing perfectly to 0.64%. Not in your favor. So the player still loses, but a lot less. An unknown person at a website that is somewhat respectable, from what I've heard, they say that even when borderline hands benefit from knowing neighbors' cards and decisions are adjusted accordingly, overall gain remains negligible on the order of 0.1% gain in expected value relative to the ante-bet. I'm not sure what they mean by that, if it's 0.1% relative gain or absolute gain. It's going to come down to who made the best model, okay? Michael Shackelford versus somebody at another website that's very similar to Michael Shackelford, because they do a lot of gambling math, both of them. Who had the best model? Who had the best simulation? I'd say Michael, but maybe only between the two of them, one of them went to the second layer, which is making decisions, dropping and folding based on 5 cards of information, because you know the 3 community ones, then you know your own, then you know your neighbors. So more than 5 cards, but you know what I mean. And if it extended to that and started saving you another 1 full unit of your ante-bet, then you might be able to shave off a little bit more. Just my gut check feel says it wouldn't be that much more. Most of the savings would be in the initial bet because it goes from 4x down to 1x usually. Or a full-blown fold. And then did they factor in the losses from the early no-bet that gets picked up on the river, which is the 6th and 7th card? You have to factor that in. I can't imagine either of them didn't, but I don't get how they both came to different conclusions. But just if I had to write this, it would probably take me a month. And I'm originally a software engineer. I'm not even sure a desktop computer could do this because the amount of conditions and the decision-making logic would take me so long to write. And then I'd have to run it to such a high degree, up into the test levels that they use for slot machines online, which is 1 trillion minimum. Well, I say that, I've heard 100 billion for some people, but that would take a while. So if they simplified it so that their computer can actually run it, then it's not accurate, is it? What I do know is that online casinos make you agree not to share information. I bet you there's a reason for that. Now, the other thing is, can they detect it? My guess would be yes. If you keep sitting down with the same couple people and keep refreshing the instances until one of you gets an empty table and then you all spam join, and you're from the same IP address or something, they're going to know something's up if they care. But a lot of these, the game provider and the casino are 2 completely different entities that only have limited talk in what they can do and report. But I'd like to think that if they want a viable product, they told people, hey, we have defenses against this kind of stuff, so don't worry about it. And if they didn't, and if the numbers were consistently going negative, if anyone was doing this type of attack, then they would just suspend the game and say, no, thanks, we're not interested. There's clearly something wrong here. So overall, I'd say it's not possible. The only other way that I could think of to beat an online class 3 casino, like a traditional online casino, is point scumming and promo scumming. So I don't know if like the official online ones do this at all, but like, oh, you buy in 100, you get 110. You just got to cycle it a couple times, or oh, it's Christmas, have $7 in extra free play, like a traditional casino would. And then you just only ever play that. Well, my gosh, do I have some stories of people trying stuff like that and getting suspended. They will just say, hey, who are the players who consistently play really short? They only play with promos and then they don't. They never play normally. They never buy in unless we subsidize it. Okay, promo ban them, as it's called. You say, I just got promo banned from X casino. That's what all the social platforms say. That means that they figured out what you're doing with just a simple little algorithm. There wasn't like some guy sitting there clicking around doing some kind of, early 2000s crime drama clicking around on a computer. No, this number equaled that number, and then it said suspend this person. Like it's an algorithm. It's not even AI. It's pretty easy to find out what you're doing. They don't want you around. And even if you're just a consistent winner, they don't even care how you're doing it. You're out. So you could do it, but it's not going to last very long, and they're going to catch you pretty quick. Now, you got to balance that with them not wanting the reputation of banning people for, quote, no reason. What if grandma's not out there being an advantage player? She's just on a strict budget but likes playing online for, 50-cent blackjack, and she just logs in every time when there's a promo because that's a good value, and they're like, how dare you take advantage of the promos that we're emailing you? Banned! And then she goes and tells everybody about it and leaves it, the app a 1-star. You got to balance it with reputation costs versus how much the person is actually costing you. So they go after the high betting whales, and they would go after the most egregious, the ones taking the most money from the casino. Like consistently, not just, I won 10,000 and only played with 5. They're not going to ban you for that. That's a one-time event. They're looking for patterns. And I would say more than half of all land-based casinos have a system where if they detect that you got a thing in the mail, you got a promo on their app, you got an email, whatever, and you came in, you used exactly that, and you left without getting any more points, or you drove it up to the exact point level and then stopped, they will just stop sending you promos. They'll just say your account isn't qualified for this. They'll stop giving you the little giveaway games, the little pick a hat things, or pick a shell or a nut or a shamrock, because they'll just say this person's a bonus scummer, so stop sending them bonuses. Simple. If they want to come in, they can play on their own dime. So you're probably not going to get away with that. So the couple different ways I thought of are very sketchy and not very durable, and in theory probably don't even work. Now, there's nothing wrong with, like, if you live in one of the states, like Michigan, you can play FanDuel there. FanDuel is one of the best online casinos, by the way. I'm not being paid to say that because I don't even live in a state where I can legally play it. But they're pretty clean compared to some of the other ones out there. And all the other best ones are originating from New Jersey, from what I heard. But it's not my scene. I don't know that much about it because if I can't play it, what do I care? But if you sign up, get this really big initial thing, and they hope that you just find it fun. It's a fun, entertaining thing to do. You play within a budget, and you're a customer for 10 years. That's what they want. So they give you a big welcome thing up front, a big promo, all these free spins, all these crazy deals. Same with sports bettings. They'll just literally give you free bets and pay them out if they hit. And then they all stop. So you could just sign up for one site, play it until they stop giving you stuff, and then never, ever touch them again. That is the way to beat them. But usually it's worth under $100, just to summarize it. They give players some cool stuff, new players, but not that much. And then they have a couple retention bonuses, and then they just figure what you're doing and they stop. Other retention is, we haven't seen you in a while. Here, have 10% off or whatever. So let's talk about sweeps and social casinos, which are legal in, I believe, 38 states. It might be 36 now, because they're really cracking down on that stuff. And the crackdown is being funded by, mostly the tribal casinos and the other casinos in the specific states. And the people who are like, wow, we're not really collecting that much taxes on this, although they are 1099 miscellaneous, just saying. So they care a little bit, but not that much. So it's like, politicians are like, I don't know. I mean, you guys are kind of your own thing. We have a compact with you or whatever, and that's about it. But sometimes there's enough money exchanging hands, in my opinion, that suddenly they crack down these sweeps casinos because they're just awful and online gambling is the worst and blah, 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 blah. Because I've never seen an 80-year-old lady drive their broken down car through 8 inches of snow to go to the casino. Because traveling an hour through a blizzard when you're too old to be driving is really the barrier, that the distance. The fact that you have to actually get in your car, go to the casino, well, that's enough to stop 90% of the addicts. I mean, it isn't though. It's called an addiction for a reason, and these people have a problem. So saying online is too easy of access, have you ever tried running your credit card twice in the same day on one of those sites? Not if you want to keep using it in the next week. Honestly, I probably should have said debit card there, because never play on a credit card. That's just idiotic. I couldn't even get the one I play at, the Sweeps Casino, to take my debit or credit cards. I had to use a privacy service that creates virtual cards that I'm in full control of. I made a video on that, by the way, if you're interested. Real easy. Great service, great business model. Anyway, so Sweeps Casinos, what's up with those? All right, so they operate in pretty much the same way, but I hate to rehash it. It's basically they run as a sweepstakes, and then every single pull of the slot machine lever or any result you generate is the sweepstakes settling. But then instead of settling for USD balance, so you only cycle it once and then cash out or rebuy, like sweepstakes entries, it modifies the number of sweepstakes entries you have, and then you can redeem them all at once for cash without a sweepstakes occurring. I never really got that, which is why I think that's the main reason politicians are like, no, your flimsy little excuse doesn't really add up. It doesn't seem to comply. Or they just don't want them existing because most of them are overseas, and 100% of overseas casinos are scams. 100%. You heard me. Oh, but I really like this one. Shut up, you're wrong. It's a scam. All the non-domestic ones either are ripping people off and they just haven't ripped you off yet, or they haven't exit scammed you yet, or they haven't decided they just want more money yet and they could just shut down and rebrand anytime they want. They pay streamers to fake results. They fake the results for them. They play with house money. They rig the odds. They're awful. I wouldn't even touch a sweeps casino that wasn't based in America. Now, the problem is a lot of them will pretend to be based in America, and they're registered here, and they're then under our laws. And so they have to comply with our sweeps rules. But I can't even name... Oh, no, I can name one. I can name exactly one. I'm not going to. But there is one that is actually domestic. It is an actual American running it, not an overseas entity that opened up an office over here and we know where the money's really getting funneled, and it's a shell company and a holding company and all this other crap. But then again, allegedly Apple is Irish, so, where are you going to draw the line about who's really where? But who's really where, it's someone out in Dubai or Turkey or something like that. They send their own people over as staff and hire a couple contractors and some domestic hype men who are residents, and that's about the level of American they are. I'm still looking into the other one because I might seek a sponsorship, because I am familiar with who the owner is. That really tips my hat about who it is, but I'm picky and I research these things before I let anyone anywhere near a sponsorship, unlike some other channels who I've had beef with in the past, who just picked up really sketchy, awful sponsors. But anyway, the trustworthiness was kind of covered in another video. I just want to define what it is so you have a basic operational understanding of what you're playing at. So you're not purchasing coins, they're free with your purchase. You're purchasing gold as if you're playing an online game and blah, 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 blah. They're either social casinos or sweeps, depending upon how they want to do it. And you're either redeeming for prizes or you're settling the sweepstakes. And the winner is announced and shocking, it's you. Cool, great, pretty much the same thing, except no regulations, it's not gambling, and they're still sketchy. They could just deny access to anyone and run off with your money, because it's not real money, it's not a balance, it's not gambling. You made a purchase, they can seize your digital assets and just say they thought you did something, or they want to refuse service to you for an unknown, unspecified reason, as it says in their terms of service. It's in their interest to just have a good reputation and operate long, but not all of them do that. So how do you beat them? Well, it's really simple. All sweepstakes in all states where they are legal, as far as I know, have classified it, as long as it's not a raffle, because that's different. Can't wait till we see raffle casinos. Anyway, they have to not be classified as gambling, allow you to write in a letter and get a free entry. That's why it says no purchase necessary to enter. It says that on every contest, on every marketing, on every commercial, every time your grocery store is giving away a Jeep, every time your local gas station is giving away $20,000, they say no purchase necessary to enter, because if there is a purchase necessary to enter, that's just gambling. So for it to be sweepstakes, it has to be free. You can give people entries if they make a purchase, but those two are vaguely related. So if you guys know Quick Trip, up in the Midwest, let's go. They just gave away a Mountain Dew truck and I think $20,000, $10,000, $5,000 or something like that. And they're giving it away per week, and they had like a little scratch off thing in the app. And every time you went in and made a purchase, for every like $5 or $1, it was an entry or something like that. And then your one visit, as they define in their app, could be traded in for an unknown number of sweepstakes entries. Sometimes it was 50, sometimes it was 1, and sometimes it was like a coupon for a free product in the stores. It was actually kind of cool. And if you wrote them a letter in accordance with their terms of use, you got to scroll through it. I'd usually just hit Control F and then look for the word envelope, little hack for you there, or postcard. It's going to cost you a stamp, and right now stamps are like 72, 78 cents or something like that in America. So that sucks. And because people could just go to their printer, print off a whole bunch of letters and run it through a Pitney Bowes machine and get a bulk mailer, which is a discount, by the way, and run off these automatics, send in 10,000 envelopes in one day, and they would all count as entries if they calculate that it's an advantage play to pay for the postage, and then your return to player would be higher than the cost of a stamp and the paper and the ink and the envelopes, which was found to be the case in the Monopoly contest that McDonald's held. So they quickly changed over to self-addressed, self-stamped. You have to write it by hand. That slowed people down. You could not automate it. And now any sweepstakes entry will say, from a template letter, whether it's from the lawyer or they stole it from the internet, it'll always say, you cannot fill out these by automated means. If we detect you have, we will not honor your request for a free entry. But back in the day, we tried it. We found out about it from, friends of a friend at my middle school. And they're like, hey, dude, if you send it in, not only do they give you a free entry, they will mail you the game pieces that are on the cup, or if you buy the drink or the fries, they'll just send you the game pieces. But because they wanted to really comply with it and not be like, wow, this is like a high stakes lottery and people are treating it like that. And people have complained about Pokemon card packs being the same, just FYI, and kids can buy them. But, they want to stay under that radar. They all want to stay under that radar. So they decided to give every single person who wrote in a winning entry, at least one winner. And then they also had a game piece that could have been a large prize winner if some fat guy with a suitcase didn't steal them, if you saw that documentary. The insider who was supposed to police it, he stole all of them and gave all the free jet skis to his friend and stuff. So other than that, you'd always get a free item, a free food item. So, hey, we filled out a whole bunch of them until my parents ran out of stamps, bro. And then we're like, can we go to the post office? And she's like, my mom said, well, you've been doing this for 2 hours. Could you calm down? And you could only eat so much in a day, which, based on the age I was back then, I don't think that was a legitimate concern. I'm just throwing that out there. How much I could eat in a day versus carpal tunnel and muscle cramps, I know which of the two would come up first. I didn't grow 5.5 inches in 1 year because I didn't eat food. Anyway, not many sweepstakes do that because they know people can use auto pens. I'll circle back to that, by the way. So they usually won't guarantee a winner, but they will guarantee you 1 to 5 to 10 entries, like something reasonable, as if you were to make an average purchase, because they don't want it to be lower, and they know 0.1% of people are going to bother to do it. It's just there to comply with the laws. They don't put it in the advertising unless they have to, and it's buried in the terms so that people don't find it. So it's just this little tiny thing, because they have to open up every single letter. They have somebody do it, find out who it went to, reply, find out what their account number is and all this crap. But this is a sweepstakes on these totally not casino sweeps casino websites that have casino games that you play for free, wink, wink. So you write them a letter and they usually give you about $5 or $10. Now, they all have drastically different terms. Some of them limit you to 1 per week. Some of them limit you to 10 at a time. Some of them are unlimited, but they only give you $2. Some of them give you 5 lifetime, which I'm not convinced is legal. But that's a lot of the overseas ones, and they just hire a processing office here domestically. Or they just don't care, because if they're not structured here, who gives a crap? So if you ever heard make $60 an hour just by writing letters on the work from home websites, which you should stay away from because they're all garbage. You want to work from home? Go to thrift stores, garage sales, find the stuff, flip it at pawn shops and online on eBay. You'll make a better margin than any casino, by the way. A lot of people doing that these days, though. Last time I was at the bins, oh boy. So I benchmarked it. How many of these can I fully complete in an hour? And at the website that I was testing it with, it was $5 per entry. So I'm paying about $1 for the postage, the envelope, and the postcard. Has to be a 6x4 white postcard, but I got those with a free credit I had on Amazon for reviewing a company online. They paid me $25 for writing a review. Oh, and it was like a third-party audit. They weren't paying for positive reviews, and I sure as crap didn't give most of them one. But they gave me $100 Amazon gift cards, but I got a 200 pack of the lowest quality, thinnest, lightest postcards I could get for $6. So negligible, and I mean, what does 500 envelopes cost these days? $10? And then my pen with like really nice ink. Okay, that was about another $1. So, okay, let's just say it's costing me $1 per and I'm getting 5 out of it. Cool. And then there's only a loop requirement before you can redeem the money of 300%, I think. Some of these, they set them 500 or 1,000. Some of them just let you redeem it right away. There's no requirements because they're the small fry and they want to seem better than the big ones. And you got to have a reason to play there. So they just loosen it up and don't have these ridiculous looping requirements. So how do they stop from going bankrupt? Well, one, it has to be handwritten. It has to contain a postcard inside of an envelope. Let's start here. Okay, so on the envelope, it has to have self-addressed stamped reply address, but I think you can automate the recipient address. That's kind of weird. I didn't do that. Could have ran off a whole bunch of the same label because it's going to the same P.O. box to the same company who, owns the Sweeps Casino on my Diamond Lambo printer, and I didn't. So, oops, could have done that. So, still, we're looking at about $60 an hour profit, and I was writing really fast, but I got kind of cramped and got sick of it real quick. But for $60 an hour with no cap, I'm just saying. Then on the inside postcard, they made me go to the website, click on generate a number so that they could match it to me. And it's a security feature, you guys. It's to make sure that I'm not automating this, which, okay, yeah, sure. I'm so sure. But yes, it does serve that purpose. So I have to generate a number. I have to verify my location. So I have to be on like a GPS enabled or open IP kind of thing. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm able to do it. And then I got to go to Verif, which is a facial identity thing that says that I am who I am, just to generate one code for one postcard one time. Then I have to wait about 3 to 5 minutes for it to reset to do another one. In the meantime, I have to write my full legal name with middle name, if that's what I gave them when I signed up to my account. Then I have to write under that, handwritten by the way, my entire email address for my account. Then under that, I have to write my entire shipping address, and it has to match my account. Or billing address, I'm not sure which one they said, but address. Then I have to write, I wish to receive sweeps coins to participate in the sweepstakes promotions offered by, insert name here. By submitting this request, I hereby declare that I have read, understood. As an editor, I found some issues with the way they punctuated and spelled this, and agree to be bound by, insert names, terms and conditions and sweeps rules. So I could burn through that pretty quick, but they said if your handwriting is illegible in any way, it will be rejected. And I'm not sure how strict they are on that. So I sent in 2, because that's all I was willing to risk was 2 stamps in like 10 minutes of my time. And 5 to 6 weeks later, approximately, they credited my account. So there you go. They honored it because they don't want that kind of heat. If they get a report that they're not honoring sweepstakes rules, that is the only way the government can go after them right now without passing a new law, is by saying you are not honoring mail-in ones. You're being too picky. You're pretending you never got them. You don't actually have a mail department, or you're taking longer than 6 weeks, which is the industry standard. Boom, you're shut down and you're in jail and you're fined and we're seizing your assets. They do not want that kind of heat when 99.9% of people are too lazy to do this. To make $60 an hour to scribble down some stuff real quick. I'm just saying it's not for everyone. I got sick of it dang quick, but oh boy, if I could just write a letter to my casino, guess what? I gotta wait till it's like some basketball thing, some March Madness promo will show up and you get $10 if you get 10 points. Wow. And then I show up with like 1,000 and wipe out all their AP machines. Trust me, that's a better way to make money. Oh, and I forgot, on the outside of the envelope, in addition to the return address, somewhere on the envelope, I have to write sweepstakes entries and hope that doesn't confuse the crap out of the mail delivery person. I put it on the country line right under the zip, by the way, because I happen to know that is where you can put additional information other than the country line if you don't specify it. And then that line will be disregarded. So you will beat the casino real quick that way. Now, here's the thing, okay? I have cycled a couple $1,000s on this website, and then they've owed me a grand total of $10 in the stuff I mailed them. If that ratio got a little higher, they could honor it, and then they could immediately shut down my account and just say, we're denying service to you because we feel like it. Read our terms. We could just do it. We suspect anomalous behavior. We're not going to tell you what, and you can't sue us to find out, and you can't get a subpoena, but just our systems have told us that something might be anomalous with your play patterns. So bye-bye. So I have a feeling that that's going to happen, and that has happened to other people that I know that do this, like, I wouldn't say professionally, but as a hobby, just because they think it's fun. I've been told by Okay, I edited that out. It's a person. Just trust me. I vetted them. I am not going to even describe who they are, how they are, where they are. But someone who will know this type of thing said that it is not worth it compared to the amount of money you can make on just bonus scumming. So what's bonus scumming? So you can write them letters. You can get infinite funds until they decide otherwise or put a cap on it. Every sweeps casino is different. Everyone has different rules and limits, and it's a pain in the butt, and I hate it. But if you're like a retiree or you're a disabled person, I mean, get out the pen. You know what I mean? Oh, before I move on to the next one. Okay, hold on. Auto pen. You can put a pen in a little 3D printer, basically. Little dual axis thing. They're under $100. And get it to write something, and it's based on like the Cricut engine, if you've ever seen those. It's like the little sewing machines, but they can also cut paper, and they can cut vinyl, just with like a blade. They're not like a laser printer, but you can get a DIY kit, let alone a cheap Chinese one, where it just moves a pen around. I mean, it just has to grip the pen and move 2 motors. And then it's just what they call the resolution of the motors, or the effective DPI, or like the accuracy, and that's the only other factor. So you get a good one, and then you get some software, usually it's open source, and ta-da, you've got an auto pen. And they can't tell that it's, is it an inkjet? Is it a laser printer that put it out? You can tell that in your sleep. I'm not going to tell how, but you can. It involves some very basic chemicals, or just looking at it, or just feeling the paper. But the problem is it'll draw a font. It'll draw a vector. It's all vector based. So you could use like Inkscape, or you could use Illustrator. You could use, I don't know any others, but most people use Inkscape. They draw a scalable vector graphic, which is just a set of instructions saying draw a line here in this thick, and then it does it. Some people use OpenCAD. I've seen that too. That's a computer-aided design, but it's like the cheapy open source one. So they hooked it in, do some programming, and you could draw a circle and draw this and draw that and make it look handwritten, but it's going to look the same every time, and that's the problem. Now, I have asked this person when I was talking to them, what do you know about using an auto pen and having it use like AI, or like a shake, like an automated vector thing, or like some kind of AI, some little plugin that someone runs somewhere, that someone designed, that'll make it look like legitimate handwriting and vary it just enough that somebody would say, I can't prove that this wasn't it. And like the line height, the letter height, it wouldn't look like a ransom note cut out of a magazine. It would look like someone with a consistent handwriting did it. And could it analyze my handwriting and then replicate it? Yes. Oh my gosh, that is a huge thing for baseball signatures and stuff. And all sports, all memorabilia. The auto pen thing, that blew up 10 years ago when people were first inventing this. So I thought, well, a decade later, yeah, I probably can do it, right? Not that I could find. I couldn't find one that would be good enough to do this, and it would be a violation of their terms. So if they thought no human being could do this in this volume and this consistently for this much time, we think something's up, all they need to have is a suspicion, or just not like you and just not like that you're winning, and goodbye. So would it be worth investing, $100 to $200 in some hardware and software and stuff, and learning it and setting it up and putting it on a table, getting the USB cables, getting all the drivers loaded and all that? No, even for me, no. And the guy who beats online casinos professionally, let's just put it that way, or lady, I actually don't know. It was a text chat, but anyway, they said they didn't mess around with any of that, and their gut feeling was that it wouldn't be as worth it as just bonus scumming. So you sign up for like 10 different sweeps casinos. You just wait for them all to say, hey, it's July 4th. Hey, it's Labor Day weekend. Hey, it's Flag Day, President's Day. Hey, it's Friday and our sales are down. Here's a promo. Buy 100, get 110. Buy 100, get 150. We just added $10 to your account because we feel like it. Come back. They call that a retainer, or like a loss something, whatever. There's some marketing term, but it's like, how much does it cost to acquire a new customer on average? Well, $14. I don't know, with the setup, the fees, the checking, the third party, the biometrics, the database, the verification, the credit card processing, all that. And then the marketing, like the ads to go get the people and paying YouTubers to plug it and all this. It costs, $14 to go get a person, $50 to go get a person, $5 to go get a person. So if they gave an existing customer $3 in free credit or $10 in free credit, and that was lower, and then they came back and played again, and were like, oh yeah, that website, I forgot about that. I used to play there. That's really fun. And a certain percentage did that. Sending an email is free. I'm just saying. And then if you detect that all they do is log in and just play the bonuses exactly to the limit and withdraw them, redeem them. Pardon me. You're not withdrawing. You're redeeming. Anyway, they'll just ban you. So it is cheaper to do that, so they'll keep doing that. But some of them, the thresholds are pretty low. And after you hit the cycle limit, you can kind of just play some stuff that's like 99%, maybe play 50 Baccarat hands or something. And all of a sudden it just looks like, oh no, he's playing casually. Like, it's not all bonus coming. And then maybe there's some online groups, private and public, where people say this one kicks out people all the time. This one, we've never heard of somebody getting kicked out of it. Sign up for this one. Or they like, I'll refer you, you refer me, you'll refer him, he'll refer her, she'll refer him, and you go in the circle where you all like get commissions on each other, and then all buy in together, and then all bonus scum and double dip. I think that's called a buy-in attack or whatever, but yeah, like there's all kinds of stuff you can do like that in the coordinated groups to just do the general category of called bonus scumming. I'm not that into it because I only play on one site, and a lot of the best bonuses are sent out by the sketchy overseas ones where people just say, well, I mean, they're desperate, they have lower standards, and they have lower security, so they're just happy to exist and be cashing a check. They're a little looser because people could just play a domestic one. What reason would they have to play over there at the sketchy one that nobody's heard of that's smaller? Well, crazy promos, obviously, in really, really good terms that favor you. But then if you get a big jackpot, they'll just suspend your account and be like, something suspicious happened. I don't know. We don't have to pay you. Bye. But if you play real low and conservative and without more than you can lose because they could rip you off, not more than you can lose because it's a casino, then you can usually get away with it, especially if there's no limit on redemptions and stuff. So I know people that do it, but man, I'm telling you, if they start sharing information with each other, which is usually not the case because they are in direct competition with each other, or something happened, or there's a crackdown, or who knows, or they all just, one guy owns 50 of them that you didn't know were actually related, and then they shut them all down on one day, which is called an exit scam, and they just run off with all your money. I'm not willing to risk that for a little $10, $20 promo here and there. But other people are, and they make thousands. So, I mean, to each their own. I don't like it. But if I were to just stick to domestic ones, I looked at some of the promos that went out, and you could make several $100s per month, upwards of $1,000 plus, just by kind of slipping under the radar, doing it right, doing it by there, writing a couple letters, and just combining everything into whatever you want to do, make it a little side hustle. And it's less about making money, it's more about just gambling for free. That's what a lot of people are into it for, and just tilting it in their favor, but they're still going to play for fun. Like if they're like, ooh, I got 150 off my 100, what am I going to do with it? And then they cash out the 100 they put in, and then they just play with the 50. So it's like, whatever. If you don't treat it like, oh, I could do this or I could drive for Uber, you're probably good. And you just get a kick out of, haha, I'm a horrible AP playing, point scumming scumbag. Woo. I'm a bonus player. Haha, cool. I'm getting one over on them and under the radar. Yeah, it's a fun hobby, but I would not treat it as a job. I would not treat it as like a source of income. That's where I draw the line between it. And enough people do anything, then it collapses. That was true about everything. Like I said, you go to a thrift shop now, flipping stuff on eBay and Amazon and fulfillment and resale and being a picker, all that stuff, that's been blown for about 5 to 10 years, ever since COVID. And a little bit before it. What was the big thing before that? It was Amazon dropshipping, where you could take a course only for $1,000 and they'll teach you how to set up your own Amazon store. And you just link up like a listing, then you never touch the product. You just ship from there to there, and it's really coming from a warehouse, but the person doesn't know it. And then you use an automated system to like find products. And so you just go boop, 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 configure it, take a little risk, and then you just sit there and collect money while doing absolutely nothing. Well, guess what? That was a pretty attractive business model, so everybody did it now. You are not going to make money on Amazon dropshipping in 2025. You weren't going to make money in 2020. That is a blown operation because too many people are doing it. Are you seeing the pattern? I stopped driving for Uber because, get this, too many people in my area were doing it. I would get like 2 or 3 rides a night for like $10 profit. It was totally and utterly not worth it. And I speak English and Spanish, so I got some pretty good tips. Fluent English and like passable Spanish. They were just happy to have a driver they could communicate with on like the taxi service, you know what I mean? And I like to think that I'm a little bit funny and entertaining too, so it was a fun trip usually. Except when I picked up Psychos, which is about 10% of the time. So you go back before that, multi-level marketing. You go back far enough, it was the home-based business stuff that all the women were doing with like the home goods and the Tupperware, which was pretty much also just MLM, but a little bit less levels. It was more like direct sales. But then too many people started doing it, and now there's 100 agents in your town all trying to sell Tupperware. So like, anytime there's a thing, don't expect that's going to be your new like solution to all of your money problems, and it's going to be your new side hustle forever. That's why when I was by choice unemployed, because I closed my own retail shop that I owned, and it was because like 30% of my money was coming from there, and I was open 40 plus hours. So like, why don't I just make YouTube videos and sell on eBay and drive for Uber, which is the 3 things I was mostly doing among a couple other things. 2 out of my 5 side hustles rug pulled right after that. Just like one of my suppliers for some stuff that I flipped on eBay closed, and that was $15,000 in profit gone. Couldn't acquire anything at those prices anymore. Nobody else wanted to work with me, and I had to shut it down. That led me to a very, very, very bad financial situation. I don't want to get into it, but I did eventually pay off that debt mostly. And yeah, that sucked. But then I went back to working a traditional job because that's a paycheck you can count on. So don't retire to do dumb stuff like this. And I will tell you, in 2025, you cannot live off of being an AP player unless you are the best, most knowledgeable one, single man operation ever in a perfect location. And even then, you ain't making above 50 and your taxes aren't going to look good. 50,000 a year, I should say. So with that little warning, I mean, these are the ways that I know how to beat online casinos. Bonus abuse, I guess you'd say bonus scumming, point scumming, reward scumming, that kind of stuff. If it's a sweep casino, the write-in for free credit stuff, you could, get $100 pretty dang quick with like 2 hours of labor, just saying. Or the knowledge sharing attack, that one's kind of sketchy and you're going to make maybe 1% to 2% or lose miserably based on 2 different people's numbers. And a third one said you're going to break even, if I read it right. So, who do you believe? But 1% of a $5 bet, do I need to tell you what that is? How much are you making per hour doing this? Are you even paying for the computer's electricity? Let alone your time and the cost that it would take to do a different job that might pay better. Yeah, there's better stuff out there, but they are beatable. So that's what this video was about. I finally made it. So I wanted to cover it in detail instead of some surface level nonsense because it's so complicated and I find it absolutely fascinating. And if you made it this far into the video, you probably do too. But I wanted to let you guys know how they do it and then what you should expect as far as durability, pushback, resistance, friction, as they call it in the business world, why it works, why it doesn't, when they catch you, all that stuff. Because that is the whole picture, and you need the whole picture if you're going to touch anything like this or anything even involving money. Anything involving money and online, you better just be careful. You better do it the right way and have all the intel. So if you're still watching at this point in the video, because you're serious about maybe doing something like this and you want all the information, you're like, whoa, this guy just gave me all the information. Exactly. That's what these more podcast style videos are about. I'm not doing many of them, but when the topic merits it, oh boy, we're doing it. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.